pop the cork here. There you go. That's the start. Gotta get some of this Four Roses bourbon whiskey poured out for our vinyl happy hour tonight. Can't forget my lovely wife Lauren is going to be sharing some whiskey with me here. So we are about to start Vinyl Happy Hour, Culture Shock Vinyl Happy Hour, episode 29. There's always lots of talk of Holy Grails. Well, I've got a Holy Grail kind of to start out my thing with, but I have the most crazy, most elaborate record I've ever seen as my grand finale Holy Grail, and it's an item we're going to be putting out this year for Record Store Day on April 13th coming up. And also in upcoming music and events things, we are going to be DJing, spinning a vinyl party set for our friends down at Lucette Salon this weekend. Saturday night, they are celebrating 5 years in business, and Prairie Street Brewing is going to be there helping them celebrate. So please come down and check it out. That's going to be a lot of fun right here in downtown Rockford. But yeah, first let's get to a sip of this. So this kind of goes with the theme of our Vinyl Happy Hour episode tonight. We're doing these live videos every Thursday night to kind of showcase for you and bring light on some of these special releases that are coming out at independent record stores, and refining some of the used records that we are unveiling or putting out every Friday in the store. But for my drink tonight, I unpopped this here a few weeks ago, some Four Roses straight bourbon whiskey. It's a great drink, but it kind of goes with one of our Holy Grails tonight, just in name. So I've got 4 releases that I'm going to talk about, and then for my 5th album, it's a crazy special Holy Grail. I'll play on words here because of what's in the title of this whiskey. Yeah, they can guess, sure. Yeah, I suppose so. What do you think the Holy Grail is? It's the most elaborate box set I've ever seen in the world. Probably one of the most expensive ones, too. It weighs 50 pounds. That's all I'm going to say. So if you want to guess what it is, go for it.
Let's see if anyone guesses.
Yeah, let's see. And just a little bit, if this was called 5 Roses, maybe that would have been a better guess, but that's okay. I'll let you guys see if you can guess what it is. To start out our episode tonight, though, first, that's a smooth whiskey. That's good. When you can drink that and just enjoy it. I just want to say how tasty that is. So, what have you been drinking, or if you're drinking along with us tonight, leave us a message. Let us know what's in your glass. Even if it's a beer, bourbon, wine, whatever you've got, that's cool. I usually stick to more whiskeys and bourbons, but I'm always down to try something different. A lot of great distilled whiskeys and liquors out there. Gosh, who remembers MySpace? This is a really kind of interesting release. Our friend Ben Folds, of course, we went and saw him last year, great live musician too. Back in the day, I think this was 2006, MySpace actually did a live series of musicians. Do you remember following bands and watching things on MySpace? I actually never saw live stuff on there. But if you do, give us a thumbs up. Let us know, or mention what bands you remembered or started following back in the MySpace days. I definitely remember seeing Ben Folds on MySpace, and Lauren, I'm sure, probably followed Ben Folds on MySpace.
Yeah.
They did a live streaming thing where he did set up his home studio and had fans and friends come in and watch him perform, and it was broadcast live over MySpace. That was a big, at the time we thought, a huge technological breakthrough, I'm sure. Well, that live set and stuff never went on to be released officially anywhere. So there's no CDs, not even records of it. Well, right now, although it is coming out, I think, on like white vinyl, we are getting some special versions of it. There's only 300 copies coming out through independent distribution for indie record stores. On this green vinyl, it's a double LP. Although the jacket has pictures and stuff from there, and a big story about a couple of songs that he actually released exclusively on iTunes and for live on MySpace. The jacket quality is kind of thin. It's not super great, but that's okay. It's got a nice story. What's most important to me is that the vinyl pressing is excellent, especially when you're hearing a live recording or hear him playing piano and singing. It's a great sounding live recording. They did a really great job of getting those masters or whatever they did to save the recording, press it to vinyl. We were able to land quite a few copies, luckily, considering there's only 300 copies on green vinyl being pressed at all. So how cool is that? Those are getting released tomorrow. Again, new releases come out every Friday, and we are just falling head over heels trying to keep up with all the releases that are coming out. Like I said, I have my crazy big Holy Grail that I'm going to show off here at the end of the episode and talk about, but I have one more Holy Grail. This is something else we're kind of holding back to release on Record Store Day. Of course, recordstoreday.com has a list of all the releases coming out. Besides all of those releases, we are also putting out other new releases and some rare used records. This is one, has anybody ever heard of Majosha? This is a very strange one. And when I came across this, it stopped me dead in my tracks. I was like, produced by Ben Folds? What is this? It's from 1989. This is the band that Ben Folds first started out in and first had before he went solo or went with Ben Folds 5. He does play some piano on it, but he's actually doing vocals and bass on most of this. And he produced the album, you can tell, because the bass lines are very heavy, very strong on it. What's also crazy about this album is it never got released digitally or on CD. It's extremely rare, private pressed. They have this weird sticker that they put on it. It says, "Shut Up and Listen to Majosha," debut album from the new band Pots and Pans. So it's very confusing because it sounds like the name of the band is Pots and Pans, but there's a circle on here that says Majosha is the group. So Majosha is the name of the band, I guess. So I'm not sure what's up with that sticker. It's even got a hand stamp thing from the record label that this was distributed on, a very small pressing of it. The prices on it are way up there. I think usually you see them selling for about $150 to over $200. So it's quite the holy grail. So that's a little extra holy grail action that we get in. This is one of the rare used items we're going to be unveiling at Culture Shock for Record Store Day here in a couple of weeks. But on to some other new releases. Jenny Lewis, of course, we've heard her with the Fur Coat Twins and some other solo albums. This is her probably third or fourth album now. She has a new album out, and it's got a blue vinyl special version. It's not an indie store exclusive, but it is a limited version, and she has a poster in it. Oh, yeah. Jenny Lewis and the Walking Twins? Yeah, sorry. So we have that one, too. So she had a couple albums with some groups. Oh, of course, going back to Rilo Kiley, too, and Saddle Creek Records. She had some albums with them, so she's been in a few different groups, but now she's doing the solo thing. And this album is a beautiful sounding recording. It's more kind of along the lines of indie rock with a little bit of almost a country kind of storytelling side. Here's the full poster that comes in with it. Get everything plugged in up there. Here is the fold-out poster with the lyrics on this, so really nice to include some little extra with the album. But yeah, just another beautiful album that just dropped last week actually, so we do have some of those in stock. This is a really cool, rare used record from the band Free. I'm not going to sing it, but I'm sure you know the song All Right Now. This is called The Free Story, and this is an older release. It's a German pressing. It's even got a numbered limited edition, a double LP compilation of their whole career. But they did a really cool job of telling the story of the band and how they got together and different things that happened to them along the lines and how they ended up getting together to record. So that's cool to see an older release. It's really nice in mint condition. That's another one of the items we're going to be releasing for Record Store Day this year. All right, guys. Did anyone guess? Were there any guesses yet to what the Holy Grail is?
No one guessed yet.
No one guessed yet? Well, I'm just going to bust into it. I need some space here, though. This box in front of me weighs 50 pounds. It's one of the biggest selling albums of all time. Evidently, it's the biggest selling debut album by any band ever. Guns N' Roses, Appetite for Destruction, the Locked and Loaded box set. I'm shaking the table just trying to show it off. It came in a shipping box that was so huge with a cardboard box and foam inside of it. This opens up. This is every special edition thing that came along with the recording sessions and everything from Guns N' Roses' Appetite for Destruction. The story behind Guns N' Roses' Love 'Em or Hate 'Em is amazing. How they pulled it off, came together, and put together this album that had so many big hits on it. Inside the box, though, it gets crazier. Not only do you get the original Sound City recording studios, the demos, the full-length album, the extended artwork album that has the full, whatever you call it, folder sleeve that shows the full artwork. There's all the singles that were released, 8 different singles with the B-sides. There's CDs, DVDs, fully remastered sounds. I can barely show this off sitting down. It's crazy. Obviously live here. Each drawer opens up, and this is cool. It's got a 45 adapter, Guns N' Roses logo, the metal cross with a USB stick and hard drive of all of this data. There's little metal pins. There's the enamel pins, the skull of all the guys. Like I said, 5 of the guys in the band. If this was called 5 Roses, that should have been a dead giveaway. It's 4 Roses, but And each drawer has more details. There's patches, pins, posters, all sorts of stuff. What's really cool about this album is how it took a minute to blow up, but then it did. It was actually out for like almost a year before it started charting. They signed to Geffen Records. The story about Guns N' Roses is really cool too, how they came from the band LA Guns and Hollywood Roses and combined together and ended up being with Axl Rose and Slash and all those guys. And they were actually offered a deal with Geffen Chrysalis Records for more money than Geffen offered, but they wanted to change their sound and what they were doing. And they actually went with Geffen Records, who said that they could do what they want, do it their own way, gave them less money, but somehow David Geffen had this foresight, or his team did, that knew this band was going to blow up. It took a while. Rumor is that they weren't even getting any MTV play, and David Geffen, I guess, personally told someone there to play, I forgot which song it was now probably, but it ended up being their big hit. This album, though, has so many hits. Of course, geez, it's just crazy. Paradise City, Welcome to the Jungle, track 1, so big. Night Train, Paradise City, A Sweet Child of Mine, like, it's just like hit after hit. It's so easy. This album had so many hits and so many different sounds. What's really interesting, though, again, love him or hate him, Axl Rose had vision, had a sound. They're a band that kind of dwelled on that bluesier, older rock of like AC/DC and Aerosmith, but had that younger, liver, heavier feel. They played the circuit, and they did it. They did their thing with no money. They were broke. And they were like breaking down on the road, carrying their guitars to shows, hitchhiking, stuff like that before they got this record deal signed. They were determined. And it shows, you know, when a band came together like this, did this many hits. What's crazy about this is that on their first album, they actually ended up recording and writing 79 songs. And that's what all of this is. All the extras, all the demos. A lot of these songs, like, they actually had written November Rain, which I don't know if you know, another big power ballad or whatever, ended up coming out on a later album. But the original acoustic versions and demo versions of songs like that are in these recordings. It's just such a cool story to me. I mean, again, I never really was into Guns N' Roses back in the day. I came along a little later during like more of the Soundgarden Nirvana scene, but a lot of those sounds are even mixed in with Guns N' Roses sound. And Axl Rose, like I was saying, even though he has more of that older inspiration of stuff like Aerosmith, Guns N' Roses, Aerosmith and AC/DC and Zeppelin and stuff, he wanted to tour with Nirvana. He loved Nine Inch Nails. He even ended up, after they broke up, getting Nine Inch Nails guitar player to play with them. So he had a big variety of influence on the album. Obviously, we know that they were considered one of the most dangerous bands in rock and roll and most volatile bands, which they were. After this album came out, though, and then it ended up being, you know, a #1 seller. 11 million copies is what it sold in its debut year or something like that, which is the biggest debut album ever. I think the sales going a while back were like 30 million is what this album has sold. To put that in relation to like Fleetwood Mac Rumors, everybody has that, everyone knows that album. That sold 40 million. So for a band this out there and this heavy to sell close to that, I think it's just crazy. And to hear all the recordings and stuff they made, it's pretty magical. And it's cool to see the amount of effort that went into making this box set. It is $500, but it's a magical box set, you know what I mean? Just to see all the extras and goodies with it. So this is another one of those special Holy Grail pieces that we're going to be putting out on Record Store Day. So we do get a lot of Holy Grails, older Holy Grails. I mean, again, everyone's definition of a Holy Grail is different. So I don't know if anyone guessed that yet, but if you're watching this live, we'd love to let us know right now. Hopefully you drop a message or say hi when you were on here. If you're watching on a repeat though later, just let us know too. Just drop a R or say, hey, I watched this on a repeat. Every Thursday though, we want to bring a different happy hour video to you. If you've been missing them, like I said, this is our 29th. You can go back and check out the Culture Shock Clothing and Records YouTube channel. Please give us a view, give us a like there too. Subscribe to the channel so you know when we're putting up new videos. The next couple weeks, we're going to get really hot and heavy focusing on some of the Record Store Day releases. Again, there's so many things coming out. We're going to help you kind of figure out what's coming out so you're a little more prepared for what's going to be there. Yeah, just follow us at Culture Shock 2. Every Friday, new releases. And every Thursday, we're doing a Vinyl Happy Hour video. Until next week, thanks so much. Cheers.